Why doesn't the hero reveal himself and tell us all your real name? You do have a name.
My name is Gladiator.
Hey everybody, I'm Milax, and we have a special episode today featuring an exciting guest with some tantalizing information about Dusk Ruin that you'll only find here on the podcast. Stick around to hear straight from the source about the history of Dusk Ruin, some old and new items that will be appearing in the high-end script shop, and some pretty big changes that are coming to Bloodscript events near you very, very soon. Welcome to the 6th episode of Town Square Central. Today we have a very special guest on the show to talk with us about the forthcoming Dusk Ruin event, which goes live on August 9th. I'm very pleased to welcome to Town Square Central the Grand Poobah himself, Gemstone's very own product manager and head honcho, Wyrom. Wyrom, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks. First, we need to cover the most important questions on everybody's minds. Why do you insist on mispronouncing your own name?
Yeah, that's a pretty common question that I get. Mostly it started off, I've told this story a couple times, but I started off as a game host. I threw a bunch of names at the game host manager at the time, and this was supposed to be Worm, like the actual worm with just W-Y-R-M, but that name was taken. So I added an O. I was like, oh, that's Worm. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. And then
And the rest is history.
the rest is history.
Yeah, and so now, everyone I talk to is like, no, it's Wyrom. He's just wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing that happens now.
Yeah. So when did you first start playing Gemstone yourself?
So my parents got a computer in 1993, and my uncle worked for IBM at the time, so he was getting me free access to Prodigy and Genie, and so I tried it out very briefly. I don't have one of those stories where my parents had huge bills from being online. It was very strict at my house, so once the free time was up, I didn't get to play. Yeah. And it wasn't really fun to play for an hour or two a month, so I didn't really come back to the game until about 1995 on AOL. And then, now I did do this on accident, and I don't even know if my mother knows about this, but back when you first signed on AOL, it would just sell you stuff. Like, you didn't have to confirm it or anything. You just pressed OK and it billed you. Yeah. And it said, do you want a year of AOL unlimited for like $200 something? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Like, absolutely, I do.
So that was the only bill that my parents ever received.
They never noticed it, so well done.
Oh no, they noticed it. I just never took the blame for it.
Oh, I see. Okay. You're like, I have no idea how that happened, Mom.
So yeah, that's when I really got started. I was in the chat rooms on AOL doing the whole Red Dragon Inn and all the other ones at the time.
Yeah. The heady days.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part of this game? Like, why do you think that folks are still playing this game 25 years after you first started?
I would have to say it's probably the immersion and the character customizations. That's one thing I feel like I've never been able to get out of another game, is just the character immersion that you have and all the customizations you can do. I literally look at newer games and I'm like, can I wear a cloak? No? Okay, I'm not playing it.
Yeah, pass. Hard pass.
Yeah, so those are my reasons of playing. I don't know if it's everybody's. I do like the combat too. I've always enjoyed Gemstone combat. I never used macros or scripts. I literally typed everything out. I'm crazy.
No, yeah. I've talked with a couple of people about how the reason that I can type absurdly fast is exactly that. It's from typing attack rat repeatedly as an 11-year-old.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Because I was terrified that giant rat was going to eat me if I didn't kill it fast enough.
Yeah, cave gnomes were actually more scary for me. Like once I went over the rubble in the sewer or in the catacombs, I was like, "Whoa, what are these? These things are
Yeah.
good." And they had hand axes. It was
Yeah.
scary.
No, I remember running into a Thyral once and being like, I don't even know how to say this word, so I am running away from this thing because it is terrifying.
Oh yeah, that was a scary spot too as a kid.
Yeah. So you were a regular GM before becoming the product manager for the whole game. How did that transition happen, and what has that shift in roles been like for you?
So just a quick history on it. I started off as a game host. I applied for a game master, and I was told I was a loose cannon and I couldn't be a game master, and that maybe if I was a game host for a while, maybe they'd consider me.
Why were
So
you
I'm like,
a loose cannon? What
I
were
have
you
no
doing?
idea. It was said in the interview when I did my GM interview, and I'm like, wow, I didn't think I was.
I don't even know what you could, like, were you just shouting like crazy political opinions? Like, what happened?
No, not at all. It was mostly I used to post on the forums a lot. I was on
Oh, there you go.
I was on all the forums, really.
Yeah.
I was on Stoner's Realm, I was on the Players Corner, and then I was just on the officials. And I'd always have a bone to pick, like about Throne Combat or Zolagoth, and that's how I pronounce it, Zolagoth. I wanted capped hunting there, and so I used to just get on there and post all the time. I guess that's what it was. I didn't feel like I didn't have any warnings or anything like that, so I don't know where that came from.
It was perhaps an unfair characterization.
Yeah. So I started off as a game host in April of 2007. I was a game host for 3 years. I got hired on to be the host manager assistant, and I was that for about a year. And then I became the host manager, and then the assistant senior game master of the training team and the QC team. And then eventually I had a shot at taking over the events team. The role became open, and I really wanted to work in Platinum. So I was kind of the Platinum guru at the time, as well as the event SGM. And everything kind of fell into place. With being on the events team, I was working a lot with the product manager because all the pay events were coming from him and above. So I worked directly with him, and he ended up leaving Simutronics, and it put me next in the role, and that's basically how I got in.
So I know that you work insane hours, in part because of how challenging it was to find like a hole in your schedule where we could do this call. But what is an average day in the life like for you?
Well, lately it's been being up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning coding and making sure everything's working right for Dusk Ruin. But usually I have meetings with on-site. I work from home. I know some people know that, but I don't work in St. Louis. So I get on some phone calls. We get on Skype. We talk. We do that for a good portion of the day. I talk with the Dragon Realms product manager as well. And then I work with the GM, so we have meetings a lot. We go over team stuff. And I take a break a little bit of the day, and then I get back on like around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I start working again.
And how much of your work would you say is you sort of directly tackling projects yourself versus managing folks to sort of support them in their work to take on what they're doing?
It's about 50-50. I do a lot of projects myself. I like coding. I like getting involved. I still answer assists and referrals just so I can see what's going on, see what the current problems are. But yeah, I spend a portion of my day supporting my staff, and then I kind of pick up my own projects. There's a lot of personal projects I'd love to do, but those kind of get stuck because I don't have time to get those in
Right.
as much as I wanted to.
Now, I ask everybody this question, but what is a book, a movie, a TV show, I should add because Luxel will be mad if I didn't, or music, or a video or computer game that everybody in the world should experience at least once?
So, books. I would say to read The Guardian of the Flames. Now, the author has passed away, and I don't think it will ever see completion, but I found a book once. I was at the Salvation Army, and I saw this book with a ripped cover, And I went up and I said, how much is this book? And they're like, oh, it's ripped. You can just have it. And it's called The Sleeping Dragon. And it ended up being one of my favorite series, The Guardian of the Flames. It's basically about a group of kids playing tabletop role-playing, and they get warped into the world that they were playing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun read, but I feel like it was left incomplete. And then when the author passed away, I don't know if it'll get the same treatment as the Wheel of Time or anything. So
yeah, probably not the Sanderson treatment.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I guess you could do worse than Brandon Sanderson finishing your book.
And then I'm a big Final Fantasy nut, but the older ones I like. Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
So I always say to play one of those.
Are you gonna get a PlayStation 4 so that you can do the remake of Final Fantasy VII?
See, I don't know. I wasn't a big Final Fantasy VII fan to begin with.
Yeah.
But I still like the game. I mean, it was still a really good game. It just really depends how well they put it all together. If they change it too drastically, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like nostalgia will force me to do it, and I feel like inevitably I'm gonna come away feeling pretty judgy and angry about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
Which, like, I don't know why I would create that opportunity for myself, but I feel like a lot of folks who are in their 30s or 40s are probably gonna have that moment in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And then music wise, I'm a big metalhead, so I mean, I say listen as much metal as you can.
Yeah, like a favorite band.
Well, I grew up with Korn. They're not so much metal, but I mean they are, but they're not as heavy as what I listen to nowadays. I like Korn and Slipknot for mainstream stuff. I like a lot of stuff. I listen to a lot of liquid metal with Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So I get introduced to a lot of new bands that way.
That's cool. Just a personal question that I have to ask you directly while I have you here. Seriously, are we ever going to get Savants?
So, yeah, it's backburnered right now.
I've heard
maybe one day, but right now there's no active development on it.
I'm going to read that as you giving me a coded wink via Skype that, yes, they're actively being developed by a large team of GMs.
You can just edit it and just use some of the words that I said.
Yeah. You're obviously like neck or eyeball deep in working on Dusk Ruin, which is coming out soon. Talk a little bit about how and why Dusk Ruin was originally developed.
So we were working on events. I used to be the SGM of the events team, and we were trying to develop something new, something combat oriented, because at the time we were doing a lot of festivals. So at the time, GM Scrimmage was the lead on this. And he was developing it all. He came up with the name Dusk Ruin, Blood Riven Village, and then he had to step away from GMing. He kind of dropped down to CGM, and I kind of took over it, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I was coding the arena mechanics at the time, and we had a whole new concept on what we were going to do with events. And at the time, the product manager, Solomon, he wanted to go in a whole new direction, but didn't really know how to get there. So that's pretty much how it started off. We wanted to go kind of outside the box. Things were changing with Simutronics at the time, and we just went from there.
And it's obviously grown over time. I mean, I remember the first Dusk Ruin run. I think the sewers were there and the arena was there. Were those the only two sort of like functional ways to earn blood script?
Yeah, the original arena was really slow. Roblar, he can talk about it because he was running that thing all the time. It was like 20 you had to wait for the rounds. There's 5 rounds and it took a lot of time to get through.
Yeah.
And he would eat herbs to kind of stay alive, and you had to like wait out all these traps that were happening.
It was definitely not the like pure friendly, like breezy walk in the park that it is now, right?
Oh, no. It wasn't like a crazy marathon of just ripping through creatures round after round. It was a really slow thing. And in order to get all the blood script you needed to wait it out, because we wanted it to be kind of like a spectacle event. So people were supposed to watch and cheer you on, and we realized it was just too slow and kind of boring.
So talk in general then, how has the event changed over time since its initial development a few years ago?
From that, we didn't like how slow it was. We had a lot of feedback at the time, so I changed it up and was like, well, maybe we can just do like this 25 round craziness and would have boss fights in there to make it kind of hard. The sewers kind of stayed the same. We added a little bit here and there. We wanted to give people something to do that wasn't combat oriented because at the time it was new. No, there wasn't really much combat in events. So that's pretty much what we changed it up for. Now it's just kind of bringing in more and more elements, taking in player feedback, trying to integrate that into the arena and into the sewers.
Yeah, and I feel like I remember when I first started playing being way too intimidated to get into the arena, so I just ran the sewers a bunch. But then the heist got added, which feels like it's sort of a medium between the two, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel quite as intimidating as the arena, probably especially to a new player. But it's also not quite as just like random, pure luck driven as the sewers are.
Oh yeah. The heist was actually planned from the get-go. Like we wanted to have that part of it, and it was kind of backburnered constantly. I used to always talk like the heist is coming or I'm working on the heist, but I couldn't really get a solid concept down because I didn't want it as hard as the arena. I didn't want it mindless like the sewers. So we kind of went with this hybrid version of both. We were going to have like a task system, but then we didn't want it to overcomplicate things because Gemstone is already pretty overcomplicated.
Yeah, I was talking with Konakon and a couple other folks about the fact that like nobody who plays this game knows more than like 2% of the whole game. You know?
Yeah, it's tough.
Including the folks who are developing it, I think.
Yeah,
because it's just too much to hold in your head.
Right. Oh yeah. There's some that know quite a bit. GM Kos, he knows quite a bit.
Yeah, I'll have to get Kos on here someday. So talk then about how Dusk Ruin compares with the other events that Gemstone offers to players. Like you said, it started out as sort of an alternative to the festival driven or the festival event. So what is this event now?
So this event has kind of morphed into a high-end service event when it comes down to what players are gaining from it. That wasn't the original goal for this event. It was actually something on the forums where people were talking about how we should do this and that. We started off with rot flares. It was actually nerve staves, and then we did like a rot flare version of it, and that was our high end at the time, and I think it was 50,000 blood script.
Yeah, if we only knew then what a value that was.
Right. We were kind of shocked that it would even sell at that price. So it first started as just a whole different concept of where you combat, you earn things, you can go buy stuff with what you earned from combat. Then it became this high-end script shop, and a lot of the other shops still do well, but most people are just looking at the high-end script shop nowadays.
And how you said that you took this event over from another GM who was originally working on it. How involved are you personally in each Dusk Ruin now? Dusk Ruin run now?
I'm pretty much the lead on every Dusk Ruin. GM Halist helps me quite a bit. She's the SGM of events, but I kind of oversee Dusk Ruin. It's turned into my baby, kind of, even though it yells at me all the time.
Yeah, well, that's what every baby that I've ever met does. So
right. Yeah, but I'm pretty involved in Dusk Ruin. It's the one event that I probably spend the most time on.
And so how far out are you working on Dusk Ruin before like a new run starts?
I would like to start like immediately after the last run, but we're kind of running 6 to 8 weeks out at this point.
Yeah. Well, and I was trying to do some like mental math and calendar figuring in my head, and like we just had Rumor Woods, which is a new event that had a bunch of stuff involved with it, and then there was Simucon, right? And then we've got Dusk Ruin. I just feel like it's been sort of a marathon lately.
It is a marathon. It feels like that. We're always kind of rushing to the next big thing. We also have the Premium Fest coming up at the end of the month as well.
That's right.
And we just have events constantly running. Storylines were just going. We had Valley of Gold.
Yeah.
A lot of prep work.
Never a dull moment.
Exactly.
So then what is your main hope or your main goal for this Dusk Ruin run? Like what does success in this event look like for you?
So I like to get more participation. Dusk Ruin, even though it's probably our most successful event, it doesn't have the participation of Ebon Gate yet. So I would like to see us achieve Eben Gate participation status. The event is crazily successful though, and it's succeeded all the things that we wanted it to do.
What do you think is preventing it from hitting that Eben Gate level of success, or Eben Gate level of involvement? I mean,
well, I think it's just there's not a lot going for it in terms of live merchant work. That's one thing that drives people to go to the event. And Eben Gate has been running for so many years now.
Right, so there's a lot more history to that.
Yeah.
It's also, I feel like Eben Gate has more of a like real world parallel that makes it a little more accessible. You know, I don't think many people, I hope many people who are not playing Gemster are not like running off to like do battle in an arena or like climb around in sewers.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple were. All right, and then, so part of the fun for me, for any premiere event like Dusk Ruin, is the spoiler season that precedes the actual event. And I feel like every day when my 3-year-old wakes up at some ungodly hour in the morning and I'm trying to get him to go back to sleep, I'm like going online and checking the forums to see if any new teaser has been posted yet. And so far we've already seen some pretty exciting things like shield capes and the energy rune staves and some upgrades for some like big ticket upgradable items like Night Shroud cloaks and parasitic weapons and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, do you have any exciting new stuff that we can spoil exclusively here on Town Square Central for the Gemstone community?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I can first talk about a lot of the updates that I'm doing to the arena, sewers, and the heist. And then I can kind of give you some teasers on what's going to be offered.
Awesome. Yeah, let's
event.
get into it.
So one thing I wanted to do is kind of level the playing field between the 3 activities. The arena has pretty much taken control of the event. Prior to it getting a little easier, because we took out the blood script bonuses for hazards, and then there was a time bonus. We took all that away, and so once we did that, the arena was the star of the show. But prior to that, the sewers were actually the star. It used to do about 3-1 in comparison. Now the arena is about 2-1 to the sewers. The heist is still kind of growing. It's getting there. There's a lot to learn. There's a much greater learning curve with the heist, and people like to go with that familiar face of Dusk Ruin, so they usually hit the arena or sewers.
For what it's worth, the heist has been my favorite. Just throwing that out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be doing this time around is in the heist, you earned a bonus that would work either in the heist, the arena, or the sewers, depending on which faction you worked for. We're getting rid of that. Originally, the idea was to have like this synergy between all of the activities, but what it did was it just kept people out of certain activities completely. So the maximum blood script out of the arena is going to go up to 275 this run. The maximum is going to go up to 260 in the heist. And for the sewers, it's a random. It used to be 8 to 20 blood script per search. Now it's going to be, I believe I have it at 12 to 25. So it's going to be a significant bump.
I mean, those are huge bumps for all of those things, especially for the heist and for the sewers.
Yeah, because even though the heist is slightly easier than the arena, it does take quite a bit of time. Because you got to search and you got to do all sorts of things depending on which faction you use.
Well, and you have to deal with the guilt of killing all those dogs, right? Which is just awful. Yeah.
Right. Or the birds. There's the birds.
I don't mess with the birds, which I guess makes me a monster. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's some slowdowns in the heist. So I wanted to kind of get it close to the arena, but the arena is still going to be the best way to earn blood script because of all the skill involved in it. And then the sewers kind of fell to the wayside for a while. A lot of people felt like it wasn't earning enough. So now you could technically get numbers as high as the arena or the heist in previous runs. And then there's more in the sewers. You can find a bunch of stuff. So that's one thing that I've been doing.
I know a couple of sewer runners who are going to be incredibly excited about that change that I've spoken with recently.
So the next thing that I've added to all of it is the RPA orbs are going to drop in each of them. And instead of it just being kind of random, the more you run, the more your chances are going to go up to get an RPA orb. That's always been a complaint where somebody would say they ran it hundreds of times and didn't get anything. So
Yeah.
the more you run, the better odds you're going to have. Once you find it, it'll kind of reset and then you start all over again.
Yeah.
So if you run the arena, you're going to get like an arena bonus. If you run the sewers, you get a sewer bonus. So the sewer bonus won't work in the arena and vice versa. But that's the goal anyway. And the heist will drop it too. I believe I'm also adding Smithy invites to the heist too.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, so I didn't want any group to feel left out because they enjoyed the heist or they enjoyed the arena. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then we have the treasure trove token. That's going to drop in each of them. That's just going to be a random thing. We're going to watch it. The treasure trove with the tokens is going to be in its beta run. So we're really going to be looking at it, tweaking it should we need to, so we can get it rolling for Ebon Gate. That's the goal.
Because that's very different. Because I remember last time you just had a bunch of people like sitting in a room like staring at this thing for hours until someone bought it, and it wasn't like super fun to watch. It probably was. I mean, I didn't buy anything, but it probably also wasn't super fun to run, and it was just So this one is operating more on like a raffle system, right?
Yeah.
And you have to earn those raffle tokens, because I don't think that the news item I read said how you actually earn them, but you earn them in Dusk Ruin by finding them in the event.
Yeah, I haven't actually spoke about how you earn them, so
That's awesome.
That's another exclusive right here on the podcast.
Town Square Central exclusive.
Yeah, so that's gonna be how you get those.
Cool.
So it's a big changes for everything. We had some ideas to start some new stuff this run, but I really wanted to make improvements on what we have before I start something new.
Yeah, I think that given the pace that folks in Gemstone expect things to change, that's probably a good way to approach it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a lot of positive changes, it sounds like, to all three of the premier blood script earning events. What about the exciting new teasers and items?
All right, so extra planar Bane, that's coming. That's been one that people have been wanting. Bane boosts are going to be another one. So if you have a Bane, you can get additional stuff with your Bane. So more weighting. If you have attack strength on it, you can get more attack strength. Flares don't really have anything better for them. So if you have flares, there's really nothing for you. But weighting, you're going to be able to get an extra +2 to what you have.
Those are exciting.
Yep. And then we are bringing back greater elemental flares. That's been asked for over and over.
I've seen that in the Discord a lot.
Yeah, we have it at Ebon Gate, and we wanted to keep flares at Ebon Gate with all those new the auto flare that we did there, but we also want people to be able to grab some stuff here as well. So I don't think that's gonna knock out Ebon Gate's flare system. So there's that. And then enhancive bonuses. Originally we had it where you did +1 to a skill bonus. We're gonna do skill, stat, and recovery. Everything but spirit recovery.
Oh wow.
So we can do if you want +1 to your stamina recovery or +1 to strength or something. So that's going to be coming. Add Vuln armor to a set of armor that doesn't have a script on it, or we can replace it.
I've seen that one requested a lot from folks, so I think that one is going to be popular for the people who want it. I think that one's going to be very popular.
Yeah, some of these are pretty pricey, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to add lower level Vuln armor unlocks too. That's been one that's been asked for over and over. So we're hoping that one goes out. I teased a couple things in Discord. I mentioned that old style core sign was coming, but we're also going to be bringing back chaos weapons. Oh, wow. So you can make your own chaos weapon. It's the old style chaos weapons, though.
So tell me the difference from like old style to new style, because I don't know.
For the core sign, it's just a double attack, whereas the new style is attuned and it has all sorts of fun stuff to it. But it's something that people have been wanting. Chaos weapons, they just do all sorts of crazy things. They change their enchant, they change their flare, or if they have weighting. Every swing can be something different.
So for the like Zelia folks in the room, like that's a weapon for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I teased chain spears as well. We're bringing that in, seeing how that does. I know people wanted returners, but we're gonna try out chain spears. I
didn't see the chain spear teaser. I'm super excited about that. That's something that I have wanted for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now I'll have a shot at it.
Yeah, you might have a shot at it, and it's you can put it on a javelin too. So a lot of people didn't know that, but it can go on a spear or a javelin. So there's that. And then I did kind of a weird cryptic message where I bolded a couple things. I don't think anybody figured it out. I said something like, I threw you a bone, something about cats and flies. We're going to bring back these 2x a day call familiar items. There's the jar of flies, wolf bone, and catnip. So they'll let you call a cat familiar, wolf familiar, or a frog familiar 2 times a day. Those ones are coming. And we have some other stuff coming. We still got to get through it and build it before I feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
That's usually how everything goes. Like,
well, the good news is you have like 3 whole days to do that, right? Which is so much time. You'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of like super exciting changes then. So the events themselves will be more rewarding for players and a little more balanced, and a lot of requested items and old items coming back for people who are interested in them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What is something that most people probably don't know about Dusk Ruin?
So one thing that we try to do with our events is we add a lot of lore in, and I don't know if people have talked to all the NPCs around Dusk Ruin, but there's a story behind Dusk Ruin. A lot of people talk about other NPCs in the grounds. We've given history to why it's called Blood Riven Village. Originally, probably people thought it was, blood, gore, this is an arena, but we tried to make it out to be about something about the dwarves because it's there in the mountains. And so, and the arena is actually built into a mountain. I know some people didn't actually know that, but it's in the mountain. It's not, there's no sky.
I didn't know that. Again, I've never done the arena, but that's my excuse.
Yeah, so we put a lot of effort into the lore of the events.
No, I do think that a lot of players approach this as like a farming opportunity and are probably not like stopping to smell the kobolds or the roses, and they're not paying attention to that other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now you personally, I imagine, are again like neck or eye deep and just trying to make sure that the machine is working smoothly while the event is going on. But are you a sewers guy, a heist guy, or an arena guy, and why?
I'm probably a heist guy. I've been playing a rogue for a very long time. So I kind of built the heist around like the cloak and dagger rogue build, even though my rogue is not a cloak and dagger rogue anymore. He became a pirate. But yeah. I like the heist. The sewers, I feel like... So I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, so I kind of always look at the sewers kind of like the sewers in Oblivion or Skyrim.
Yeah.
So I like the imagery of the sewers a lot, but I'm probably more a heist guy.
Yeah, the sewers are super creepy, and like clingy and wet and gross. The heist. So I love the heist. I run it on my sorcerer who is not obviously like a cloak and dagger anything, but I just use a glass amulet and it works out great.
Yeah, that I made it so invisibility would be useful in there, but you'd still get knocked out of hiding. So
yeah,
the difficulty's still there if you're just trying to be invisible.
No, it's fun. I like that one. Wyrom, thank you so much for joining us on Town Square Central today. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you, especially because I know how busy you are these days, and I'm excited to have you back on with us again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait to come back on. We can talk some more about what's going on in the game.
Yeah, and good luck getting everything ready for August 9th. I know that everyone is incredibly excited for Dusk Ruin, and it sounds like it's going to be a really awesome experience.
Yeah, I hope so. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, and good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much to Wyrom for making time for the conversation today. I also very much appreciate Lysel and Ted for their support on Patreon. If you would like to support the podcast, please click the Patreon link in the episode notes to learn all about patron benefits and other fun stuff like that. I can be reached via email at gsivpodcast@gmail.com for questions or comments, and I'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode. Good luck to everybody getting ready to brave the sewers or the arena or the heist, and remember, it's pronounced Wyrom, not Worm. I'm Milax. Thanks for listening to Town Square Central. Hold on. Wait. I want to find this. When did you send this message? I want to see if I can figure it out.
Man, I don't. It was yesterday, I believe. I don't remember.
All right, go ahead.